Hey again, guys, this is Greg Carl from Vanguard Knight on Facebook, and today we're here with another deck tech video at ARG Richmond. I'm here with Matt Sita, known as the Vanguard Knight.
How's it going?
In full regalia.
Of course.
So today we're going to go through his deck profile for Blueish Flames, Gold Paladins.
Yep.
So, what kind of drew you in to play Gold Paladins? Is it play style? How long have you been playing Gold Paladins?
Actually, I've had Gold Paladins on and off for about a year or two.
Okay.
I did start with Ezreal for a little bit, then I kind of just took a break. My main deck's actually Grand Blue, believe it or not.
Okay.
But, when I decided to wear this, I'm like, you know what, I got to add a little more of a theme to it.
Okay.
So a few months ago, I started building the Blue Flame Liberators, and I started to really like them.
Okay, well, let's get into the profile of the deck itself. So, grade 3s, we obviously have probably arguably, I don't think it's arguably, the best Blueish Flame grade 3. Blueish Flame Liberator Prominence Glare.
Yep.
Having them at 4. So, Prominence Glare's effect, if you guys don't know, it's commonly known as the Maelstrom effect. You cannot call grade 1s or higher, any gains a critical when called from deck. So, and the great thing about that is the stacks.
Exactly,
You can stack
yeah.
multiple crits.
Exactly, and then if you do multiple crits like that, because I have done it a couple times where I would call something, then counterblast discard, then call another thing either with Zoran or with other things we'll see later on in the deck, and just have it being crit 3, crit 4, and then with the trigger lineup, it just makes it insane. I can just do one shot on someone if I really wanted to, and like you said, the Glory Maelstrom effect just makes it so much harder to guard against this kind of deck.
Right. And your other grade 3 have Percival, Blueish Flame Liberator Percival. So his skill is just on Legion, search the top 5.
Top 4.
Top 4 and call from the deck. So were you finding some inconsistency? Did you try Prominence Core at all?
I did try Prominence Core. There was a little bit of a time where I was trying Glare and Core, and then it slowly became like Glare and then 2 Core, then 2 Percival, and now it's just Glare Percival where it is right now. The reason why I stopped doing Prominence Core was mainly because it was taking Counterblast away from Prominence Glare and a couple other cards that I really wanted to use, so I just took that out. And 2, getting the +3 and crit effect isn't as easy to do. Because it's asking specifically for a Prominence Core or an Aglavol, which even then, with 4 and 4 in the deck at one time, it was still really tricky to pull off. And it doesn't give the glory effect that that Glare would give.
Absolutely. So grade 2 is kind of the MVP lineup as far as Aglavales. So you have 2 different Aglavales.
Yep.
Oath Liberator Aglavale, which is the
generic, when it's placed on the rear guard, you counterblast 1 to look at 3 and call 1.
Right, so that's kind of the core mechanic of the deck is, superior calling from the top 4 and then stacking back on the bottom of your deck.
Yeah.
Now you're not getting consistent deck stacks, but that's perfectly fine because with this deck, you're going to be re-legioning probably, maybe once, twice a game?
Not 2, it's I think the most amount of times I did was 3 times, but that was when I was really being consistent with Percival.
Okay.
Yeah.
But Aglavale, the other Aglavale, becomes an 11k attacker when you have a Blueish Flame, so you're always going to have a Blueish Flame when you're at grade 3.
Exactly.
And when he's placed on rearguard, has a very unique skill. So you Soul Blast 1, search the top 5 for a Blueish Flame, so you're actually getting an additional effect. So people say, well, why don't you use draws? Well, you can actually search every time you call an Aglavale when he's called from deck.
Exactly.
So you kind of don't need the draw engine for the Persona Blast, so it kind of evens out. So, because I've heard people say, well, you should run draws. Why not run draws? We'll get to that because Catch Call is an outstanding target for calls.
There are a few other reasons to that too, honestly. As you'll see in the grade 1s, I do have my own draw engine to work with anyway. So it kind of defeats the purpose of using draw triggers with the draw engine because you're just going to end up plussing and end up getting the triggers you don't want to your hand. That and when I go into grade 2, there are some times where I don't have a grade 3, so I'm like, oh crap, I need a grade 3. So I will call an Ultra Liberator Aglavale, Counterblast. Hey, there's Regulation Aglavale. Let's try the effect, Soul Blast. Hey, there's my grade 3. I'm not grade locked. I don't have to worry about G-assisting or anything like that.
So let's run into the grade 1s real quick. Obviously, we have 4 perfect guards.
Yep.
And the other MVP of the deck, Mayrain Liberator Bruno.
Yes.
So he came out with the original Alfred Gantelot Zenith build, but now with Blueish Flames has really become the all-star to make that Maelstrom effect a huge, huge impact just because he gets plus 3,000 every time you call from deck.
Exactly, yeah. Bruno is just the powerhouse of the deck. Especially behind a Prominence Glare, after doing the explosion effect for a few times, that's going to be a big column that where unless you were able to get trigger after trigger after trigger and conserve it for Prominence Glare, you're not going to guard that attack. I've gotten one time, I think the record for Bruno I've gotten to was plus 24,000 or 2,400. So plus 7, that's a 31k booster, and it's either no guard, perfect guard, or you're losing your hand.
Yeah, you're calling 4 stages out just to even make it 1 to pass.
Exactly,
absolutely.
Yeah.
So digging down deeper in the grade 1, so your draw engine, Bastia's Liberator Josephus, you have him at 4 in the deck. So Here's effect, just Soul Blast 1, draw a card when he's called from deck. So a great on deck call from deck target to create 16k columns, 21 with triggers. The other grade 1, interesting choice, Physical Force Liberator Zoran. So
Right.
can you go into what his effect, how he kind of combos with the entire Superior Calling?
The way it works, really, it just continues the move, honestly. I mean, if there are certain things, like I would have like a time, maybe like crit, like a random Prominence Glare, and then I'll have Zoran, and then I'll have the Bruno sitting on the field. So I'm like, you know what, I need to continue giving Bruno the point boost, and it adds more to the soul, so it actually helps out for Josephus at the same time too. Or if I get an Aglavol, it helps with Soul Blast with that too. So it feeds soul, it allows Bruno to go through, it filters through the deck all the non-triggers, so it helps me with getting the odds of getting triggers a lot easier in the late game stages.
Okay. So the trigger lineup, so we run 8 crit, and 4 stands. Now the 4 stands are kind of key. They're the effect-based stands. It's Catch Call Liberator.
Yep.
So Catch Call is unique. When he's called on rear guard, you can then do another search for the top. Is it top 3?
Yes, top 3.
Top 3.
The way Catch Call works is that when he's called from the deck, you put him back to the bottom of the deck, and then you look at 3 cards, and then you Superior Call one of them, and then you shuffle your deck. I think that's really the key word right there, because there will be certain times where I'll be just doing, you know, call, all these triggers are going to the bottom, and then I'm like, I want to drive check him. So there's Catch Call. Catch Call's effect, I get another call, and then I'll shuffle all those like 8, 9, 10 triggers back into the deck. That way it actually makes it so that when I drive check, it gives me a better chance of actually getting those triggers I was looking at earlier.
Right, and everyone knows it's played Gold Paladins as well. If you have to call that top card off the deck, it's just a nightmare most of the times. Now with Catch Call, you kind of alleviate some of that, and you're putting triggers back to the deck. So let's talk about your starter. So Flaming Passion Liberator, Guido. So
Right.
Guido, by far the best starter for this build, no hands down. On Legion, put them into the soul, and you search the
Top three, and then you call one, shuffle your deck. Yeah.
So you're adding soul, and you're perpetuating the Superior Call effect, and you're adding soul for Josephus, and you have 2 in the deck. So
Right.
the reason for that being is you're just trying to perpetuate the glare effect as much as possible without counterblast.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, and it's like I said earlier, I mean, when it comes to shuffling the deck and just getting all the triggers back, it just makes it so much better. And like you said earlier, adds for soul, adds for Josephus, adds for Aglavol, so it synergizes the entire deck and just makes it go off.
So the one disadvantage to playing this deck as May is you don't have any Gold Paladin G units yet.
Right.
So
yeah, that's
what we
the
do have
biggest
is
downside.
4 Miracle Element Atmos, right?
Right.
I personally think one of the best generic, one of the best generics, just for the fact 1 counterblast, you got a 36,000 attack. Period.
Pretty
For
much, yeah.
just one
And that's
counterblast.
unboosted too.
Exactly, unboosted. So if you're playing against Kagero, Narukami, something that's blowing up your field, okay, here's 36,000 for 1 counterblast. Absolute great counter. And the other one, you were actually able to get some blizzes. So you have 4 Snow Element blizzes.
Yep.
So he actually perpetuates even more power. So on 2nd or 3rd stride, if need be. Now, so this is kind of the counterintuitive thing to the deck is you need Bluish Flames for the glare, but now you have to discard 3s.
Yeah, it's a catch-22, I guess you could say, because I mean, there are times where like, I want to try to exploit, the effect off, but then again, I don't have the right card Superior Call. I mean, I either would have to face Kagero, Narukami, they get rid of Guido, so I'm like, crap. So I don't have anything about that. I don't have Agavols in the hand, so I'm like, okay, plan B. Let's start striding. So Atmos and the Blizos and things like that. I don't use the strides as much as I normally would. Once the next sets come out, I definitely will be going for more of a stride units. I know there is a lot more stuff coming out. I know the Fighters Collection 2015 is showing a lot more support for them. Yeah. So I'm definitely gonna be grabbing those for this deck without a doubt.
So let's talk about that. So Golden Dragon, Scourge Point Dragon, when a unit is called from the deck, it gets plus 5,000. So
that unit in itself gets plus 5,000.
This with Bluish Flame is going to be an absolute powerhouse, and that'll be out in the June time frame.
Right.
But one you will have here very shortly, Galloping Golden Knight Campbell. He's going to be a promo. Is that something you'd look to pull into your deck as well? He's pulling 1 unit from the deck.
It's only one card, which is okay, I guess. But I mean, it's still something to work with. I mean, it's gonna be one of those things where I'm probably gonna experiment with it a little here and there, see what happens. If it works, then cool, I'll keep it. If not, then I mean, I still have Atmos and Blizzard to work with.
Absolutely.
Or at least waiting for the Scourge Dragon to come out.
Yeah, he's definitely not a 4-up, but he's definitely useful. He's
gonna be like a tech, in my opinion.
Outstanding. Well, there you have it, folks. That's the Gold Paladin Bluish Flame deck profile with Matt Sita. This is Greg Carl from ARG Richmond. Until next time, see you guys.
See ya.